It's the year 2004. You're in a cramped room in Silicon Valley where Paul Graham is feverishly coding, surrounded by scribbled ideas and half-empty coffee cups. Here, the rules are unwritten, the risks high, and every line of code could shoot down an idea or launch a revolution. Welcome to the intellectual wild west of hackers and painters, where creativity and technology collide in a way that's reshaping the whole world. But what drives these hackers? And why should you care about their chaos? Let's start with a curious comparison. Hackers and painters aren't so different after all. But what connects coding with art? Paul Graham dives into this tension, challenging how we see creators in the digital age. Paul Graham opens with a fascinating historical contrast. Da Vinci painted masterpieces while hackers like Linus Torvalds build Linux, an evolving work of art in code. Torvalds didn't just write software. He sculpted a community, much like Renaissance painters shaped the culture of their times. It's a reminder that hackers, like painters, create things with lasting impact. They're crafting both tools and culture. Think of code like brushstrokes on a digital canvas. Graham uses a vivid analogy. Just as painters blend colors and textures to evoke emotion, hackers blend lines of code to build elegant, functional software. If the code isn't beautiful, clear, efficient, imaginative, it won't inspire or endure. It's craftsmanship, not just function, that makes software art worth admiring and using. When beauty becomes a priority, software evolves beyond mere utility. Graham shows us how elegant design turns complicated systems into intuitive experiences, freeing users from frustration. This elevates tech from a cold machine to something people love interacting with, like a good painting that draws you in and stays with you. In other words, beauty isn't a luxury. It's a secret weapon for success in tech. Now picture the computer world as a vast frontier, lawless and full of risk. Graham calls it an intellectual Wild West, where ideas shoot fast but consequences follow. What happens when rules don't bind creativity? Graham recounts the early days of the internet boom, a frontier where startups like ViaWeb, his own company, thrived by breaking conventions. Without strict rules, teams could experiment wildly, pivot fast, and invent solutions nobody thought possible. It's like the gold rush, but here the gold was clever code and fresh ideas. Chaos wasn't a bug, it was the feature. He then explains how failure isn't the enemy but the teacher. When hackers embrace mistakes, each slip is a data point that sharpens the next attempt. Graham likens this to trial and error tinkering in a workshop, where broken parts lead to better inventions. This mindset helped the open-source movement flourish, turning shared failures into collective wisdom. But the biggest stake? Reputation. Graham reveals how stepping on orthodox toes risked exile in the hacker community. Yet rebels like Richard Stallman pushed free speech and open software anyway, changing norms and forcing society to rethink control over technology. It turns out, shaking the cage is essential to progress. Finally, why do hackers do what they do? Graham unwraps the complex ties between making money, finding freedom, and the hacker ethos that drives the modern economy. Through the story of ViaWeb, Graham shows how startups are hacker playgrounds where you spell out your own rules. The payoff? Wealth, but earned by building something new, not following old business molds. That's hacking wealth, turning an idea into a company that can run itself, giving founders freedom and control unlike any traditional job. Graham argues heresy, the act of challenging entrenched beliefs, is like jet fuel for creativity. Just like painters once defied artistic norms to revolutionize art, hackers break conventional wisdom to invent new paradigms. Heresy shifts power, cracks open closed systems, and lets fresh ideas flood the scene. Without it, innovation stagnates and wealth creation stalls. Lastly, freedom isn't just about money, it's about autonomy. Hackers craft tools and businesses that give them control over their work and lives, often working remotely on their own terms. Graham leaves you with a powerful insight. In the computer age, wealth and freedom come from shaping technology yourself, not being shaped by it. Remember that cramped Silicon Valley room where code and culture collided? That's the spirit Paul Graham invites you into, a realm where creativity dances with risk and beauty shapes code. So here's your challenge. Think like a hacker today. Break one small rule, design something elegant, or question a norm. Your ideas might just redraw the map of this intellectual Wild West. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.